I need to go.
Okay, that's fine.
Daddy exercise book.
Take one more.
Hare Krishna. So, welcome you all on our day 3. Thank you for coming along. It's being said in this Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to take part in spiritual activities. So, thanks for taking out your time and coming along here. So, what we'll try to just recap the 2 sessions very quickly, and so that we can follow the next session on the top of that. Right? So, in the first day, we have discussed about how Srila Vyasadeva thought to write all the scriptures for us, especially for Kali Yuga people, so that we can read it and take advantage of it. And another reason of writing the scriptures was that in Kali Yuga people, they don't have good intelligence. They can't remember things well, so they have to repeat again and again. Right? Careful. Just careful. Right. Sorry. Okay. Coming on now. Right. And then we discussed about. Yes.
I can't see it properly from here.
It's coming a bit. So it will come a bit. Is it okay now? Getting better? Alright. That's nice. So, and then we discussed about the scriptures what Vyasadeva wrote, and one of those was Mahabharata. And in Mahabharata, we especially talked about the war of Kurukshetra, battlefield of Kurukshetra. And there, we understood about that how two cousin brothers, they got in a fight for kingdom. Right? And then, in between of that, we discussed about how Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna to enlighten him. Right? That we discussed on day 1. And then we discussed about what is dharma. Dharma is 2 types. We discussed about our dharma to our body, like our parents, to our society, to our country. And then we discussed about the paradharma, that is our soul. Right? What dharma of that? And then we came into the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. Like those are Jiva, Karma, Kala, Prakriti, and Ishvara. Right? These are 5 topics. These 5 topics we elaborately discussed across each section of Bhagavad Gita. And then we took the first section, that is Jiva, or what a soul is. And then if you remember, we discussed about how this we are not his body. We took the example of not this hand, not this head, not this leg, but something is there which actually keeping us running, keeping us seeing. Because of that only we can see, because of that only we can talk, because of that only we can walk, run, eat, everything. And that is the soul. Right? And then in day 2, we discuss more about this soul. That is this point, that how the soul that pervades the entire body. So because of the soul, we discussed about examples like the vehicle. So vehicle cannot run by its own. It needs a driver. isn't it? It needs a key, and by the key we go and then we drive it. So in the similar way, this body, which is made of 5 Pancha Mahabhut, it actually all matter. But to run this, we need something special, and that is soul, sometimes called consciousness as well. Right? And then we discuss about how it passes into another body at death. So what happens? We discussed about the example like when our clothes get torn, what do? We throw it away and ask our parents to get some new one, isn't it? Like when you go to school, when you play, we fell down, we get some cut in our ankle, and then our leggies and the pants get torn on. So we get a new ones, right? In the similar way, when the soul thinks that this body is no more of use, it throws away, but it takes another body, right? That's what Krishna says, and this understanding is very, very, very important for our spiritual advancement, right? And then discussed about the stages of transformation, how this body changes, but the soul, it never changes. And if you remember, we draw the diagram of a tree, isn't it? The seed, and then we water the seed, gradually it becomes a herb, then it becomes a plant, then it gives this fruits, right? And then it again dried up. So in a similar way, we were tiny child, isn't it? Long back, if you see your picture from our parents when we were 6 months or 1 month, you are so tiny, isn't it? And now you have grown up this much, and in some of years you'll grow up more as well. And then we produce byproducts, like so. Now your father, they will become grandmother, like you will become father and mother. That goes, and then you become old, and then we give this body. So that's the cycle. It happens regularly for this body. However, the one which pervades within it, it never changes. That's the soul. It never changes, right? And we discussed about the quality of soul, how it is. No one can cut it, no one can burn it. It never dies. It's always pervading. It remained earlier. It's remaining now. It remains in the future as well, right? And then we discussed a bit about how to see Lord, right? So what we discussed. So when we go to temple, normally what you do, we should take darshan of Lord. Anyone remembers how to see the Lord? What we discussed last time? I repeat. So when we see Lord, we should see the Lord's feet first, His lotus feet, and it's been described. We should actually see more of His nails as well, because called Nakachandali, it emanates very soothing lights to us, right? And then from the nails we should go to His knees, and then His waist or bellies, and then His chest, then His hands, then His lotus mouth. And even this mouth, you can actually see all this lotus eyes, lotus mouth, lotus lips, lotus ears, everything, transcendental. Right? Yes, please.
What do you mean by lotus leaves?
So lotus not leaf, is lotus leaf. So Krishna's everything is compared with lotus. Lotus is so what it says is komal, right? Kind of that,
Soft.
very soft, right? So in a similar way, Krishna's whole body is very, very soft, right? At the same time, Krishna will become very, very angry as well when he comes in a form of Hiranyakashipu to tear, as Nrsimhadev to tear Hiranyakashipu. So for devotees, Krishna is very, very soft, right? And for demons, he becomes very hard, like stones, right? His nails become chisel. He just torn away this Hiranyakashipu's body with that nails. Got it? Right? And then, so we'll continue today. And then this picture, we talked about this process, the born, then it grows, it remains for some time, in produces byproduct, and dividends and finishes. And also, importantly, we discussed about this last point. The laws of nature, it never discriminates, right? Even if it's poor or rich, the process remains the same. Even if it's for educated, non-educated, the process remains the same. For king, beggar, or importantly, any religion it is, either Hindu or Muslim or Sikh or Isai, whatever it is, the process of this body remains same for everyone, right? And then we took this example. Let me put this like a bit more here. how this body is formed, we discussed about three things. Outer things what we could see, right? That is our body. That's in red, last one, red circle. And then inside that we have some subtle body. What are those? Remember we discussed in first session. Yes?
Subtle body.
Yes. This mind, intelligence and ego. That we can't see, but they exist. And internally to that, something else exists. What is that? That's the soul. Right. So this body is made of three things. The outer covering, it has bones, nerves, we can say blood and everything. That's matter thing. And then subtle, our mind, intelligence, which you can't see but it exists. And then we see about this soul, which actually remains all the time. And when we give up, this red covering goes away. We take another body where the subtle body and the soul goes to the next body. Right? That was we have discussed there in 2 sessions. That's very, very important topic because Krishna, very first instance, he imparted this knowledge to Arjuna before clarifying anything else. Right? So that's very, very important knowledge that we know that I am not this body, I am actually spirit soul. And then when we know it, we can actually do something to revive it more and more and more. Let's see. So, as usual, before starting our session, we will sing this bhajan, nice one. So I would request, that you all actually can take part in chanting this bhajan. I'll sing the first one, and then you all repeat after me. Then I'll sing the second one, you repeat after me. And in this way, we'll do for a couple of minutes. Right? All good? Who likes singing? Wow, that's nice. Good, good. Wow. And dancing? Good. So the surprise. Today we'll dance.
Yay.
That's nice. Let's see. So we'll sing it. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari chant prayers to invoke auspiciousness. As we said earlier, that now when we invoke prayers, actually it helps us to understand the scriptures very well. Right? Scriptures are actually, as we discussed earlier, these are in the books. However, to understand those, we need the blessings of acharyas, gurus, and even lords as well. Right? So to understand that, we'll chant the prayers. So first prayers is for praying the guru. Actually, if you see, it says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, because who has opened my eyes. See, our eyes are still open, isn't it? But how is opening? It comes next. Which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Those eyes are open, but they are blinded by ignorance. What that ignorance is? That is opened by the torchlight of knowledge. So by knowledge, spiritual masters opens our eyes so that we can see things very well. Right? So please repeat after me. I'll go very small words. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. And then we'll pay our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, who is a founder acharya of ISKCON. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. And then we'll pray to Panchatattva. So we'll discuss about Panchatattva, who those are, maybe in fifth session. Right. So let's pray them. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And the last, very important, Mahamantra. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So we come to day 3. So we'll discuss about karma. Anyone have any idea what karma is? Any thoughts? Yes, please. Activities, nice. Anything else?
Our actions.
Actions, yes. Actions, activity. Anything else?
Whatever we sow, we reap. So
that's a good point. Yes. Another topic. Yes, right. Anyone else? Okay. So let's see what karma is. Well said. Activities or action. What we sow, we reap. So it has actually different context when you talk about. So first is activity we perform or actions we perform. That's one way. Understanding activity, right? So we perform some activities, that's called as karma. You want something?
No, I guess it there.
Oh, that's fine. And also the reactions to our past actions. So karma also refer to reactions what we get from our activities. As you said, what we say, so we reap, isn't it? So anything we perform, activities, whatever we do, just imagine we will study. So why we study? There's something reaction is going on. What we'll get? We'll become a doctor, we'll become an engineer, and it comes back. When we study, we become something. That's the reaction to our study things. And where we are now, actually a reaction of our past activities. Right. So whatever we perform, whatever it is, either whatever, even from eating, when we eat, it's an activity, isn't it? But what we get? We nourish our body, isn't it? We grow well, we become stronger, right? Every day we need to have a drink of milk with Horlicks or Bournvita, things like that. Why? To become healthy. We go for walking. It's activity. Walking is activity. Running is activity. Why? We get a reaction of that. We become healthy, right? In a similar way, we do some mental activities like doing abacus, doing Vedic maths, performing some, singing, or performing some mathematics. Why? To sharpen our memories, right? So action is there, reaction is coming. So the second context is what? We get some reactions for our any actions. And then third is, I think we discussed the third as well, the results what we get from our current actions. So whatever we perform, it comes back to us, right? So let's see. This is the laws of karma. So can you read please louder? Okay.
For every action, there is equal and opposite reaction.
Very nice. So just remember this line. For every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. When we grow, older, we will see this as a formula as well, laws of gravity, kind of things, right? So all our actions has a reactions, but it actually happens for our all activities as well. So whatever you perform, anything you perform, someone is watching to you. You might not know it, but someone is watching, and he will reward you or punish you. Right? What happens? Sometimes, let's suppose your parents say, okay, you need to study now, and you study. They give some you, okay, good, maybe chocolates, from lollipops, or give some other gifts, isn't it? But when you don't study, you get some punishment. Okay, your pocket money is cut down now, right? We are actually supposed to go to somewhere for you to do some activities, but as you are not studying, we won't go, isn't it? It happens sometimes. So that's actually our parents say that do something good, so we will get some reward. In a similar way, whatever action you perform, there is a reaction to it. We will try to discuss it more. Let's see. Something is cutting. Okay, I'll read it out. In the Bible, it is said, "As you sow, shall you reap." It means what? Whatever we do, actually we're going to get it back. Isn't it? It's just, see the tree. When we plant a tree, it grows up, and what happens? It gives us back the mango, fruit, banana, isn't it? So we are planting this tree and watering it regularly, and then we get it. So can anyone tell me what types of action we have? What kind of activity we do? So we understand that karma is activity, but what kinds of activity can we do? Any idea? Any thought?
Physical activities.
Physical activity, yes.
Like walking.
Like walking, yeah. Playing, yes.
Running.
Running.
Study.
Studying.
Jogging.
Jogging, wow. Sorry?
Cycling.
Cycling, wow. However, yes, please.
Activity is mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance.
Yes, that's fine. That's a good one. So, we'll discuss more about activities. How the activities are defined? These are defined in three categories. Right? Three categories. Either the activity can be good, or can be bad, or can be neutral. Right? Normally, we understand about two things: good activity and bad activity. So good activity, all what you said are actually good activity, isn't it? But when we say bad activity, some people steal. So these are bad activities. The thieves, they are doing bad activity. Though they are doing activities, but those are bad activities, isn't it? Right? So, like when we break some rules, these are bad activities. Right?
Yes.
Right? So we have three kinds of activities. One is what? Good activity. Good activity what? These are also called as karma. However, these are actions as mentioned in our scriptures. So what our scripture says is, respect our elders, study well, isn't it? Right? And inquire about who you are, who am I, and how can we actually cut down the cycle of the birth and death. This may be next question, but these are the things our scriptures suggest. So these are our good activities. In a similar way, there are bad activity, and bad activity are called as vikarma. So karma is good activity, and vikarma is bad activity. And every activity, as we discussed earlier, has an equal and opposite reactions. So if you do good, you will get some good. If, just for example, if you regularly study well in a class, eventually you are going to get good marks, isn't it? If you don't study, you won't get good marks. If you study well throughout your, from your every schools, from primary to secondary and university, and then you can become a good doctor or good engineer. And if you don't study well, you have to struggle for earning, do some other activities, isn't it? So if you do good, you get good reactions. If you do bad, you get bad reactions as well. Now, there is a third type of activities what recommended by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. That is called as neutral activities or akarma. So akarma is the activity. It's not negating activity. It's an activity which actually doesn't produce any reaction. And we'll talk about this last one later on. Okay, because that's a bit more going towards our activity for the soul. So the first two activities are actually related to the activities for our body, and the third one goes for our soul, right? So let's see. If you remember, it's a bit light. If you saw, here is a red box, and here is also a red box. You might not be able to see it from down to there. But if you remember in our first session, we discussed about that when the body gives us, he takes away this red one, and with the subtle body and the soul, he takes up another one. That is defined by our karma. So if you do good activity or bad activity. So the knowledge of activity is also very, very important. That what are we doing? Is it good or bad or neutral? So when we do something good, we actually can elevate ourselves toward higher, maybe toward heavenly planet, right? Maybe toward Brahma Loka or Indra Loka, and there you can enjoy. There's more happiness over there, more pleasure is there. And if you do bad karma, bad activities, then we degrade towards hellish planet or thalas. There is more of suffering, right? So depending upon our activity, we get our results as a new body. Okay. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I'll just take it on. Right. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 14, he says, Urdhva gachanti sattvasta madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittistho adho gachanti tamasha. So that's a karma, right? So if you do good activities, it actually goes higher, and if you do neutral activity, we remain here, and we do bad activity, we actually goes down actually, right? So as said earlier by Abhishek ji, that we do perform activities in mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. We'll discuss this point in our maybe fifth session when we discuss about nature, right? So don't worry as of now. So what it says, those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets, and those in the mode of passion live in the earthly planet, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish world. So we should be knowing very well that what kind of activity we are doing, right? Either good or bad. So from childhood, if you know very well, even Prahlad Maharaj says that from 5 years we should try to understand the scriptures and try to understand this knowledge. Okay, we are the soul, we are not this body, and what these actions are. How can we actually go to the spiritual world, right? So I'll show some nice diagram for you to take it more. If you see this middle part is what actually we are here, right? And science talks about this our planets here, right? However, when we do good, we can actually go towards higher Swarloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka kind of things, right? And when we do bad activities, we actually goes lower, like atala, vital, sutal, atal, patal kind of things. Isn't it? So we always try to go higher. As if like, when we were a child, we go to nursery and then to primaries and the secondaries and then unis. Always they're higher. In the similar way, we should try to think about something going always higher, higher and higher. Right? And there's one more diagram nicely for you all. See this universe. Let me move. Clear now? So this universe look like this. See? The whole our universe, right? It looks like this. And here, if you see, there is a Lord Vishnu. You must have seen this picture where he's lying on his Sesnag and Mother Lakshmi is actually massaging his lotus feet. And then there is stain comes out from his navel and Lord Brahma remain there. And this systems, 40 planet systems comes in that stain. See? So by this scriptures we can know about this, how these are categorized. Right? Okay, so you got bored? Yes? No? Okay. So let's see this. Who want to hear story now? Or who want to tell story? You want to say story? Or hear? So, if you remember, this karma, what we are discussing about, our activities, that is a very, very important part in our life. Right? Even from childhood, we can watch that how can we study well, how can we progress well, how can we, be a good person when we grow up, and then how can we relate ourselves with the spiritual world, how can we become good, behave, interact with Lord. It's possible for us to interact with Lord as well. Right? So what happens, as we are discussing Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita, there's once a discussion happened between Dhritarashtra and Krishna. Who is Dhritarashtra? Who was Dhritarashtra? Yes? Okay.
I think he's Krishna's son.
No, he's not Krishna's son.
Brother.
No, he's not brother of Krishna. Yes?
He's the brother of Pandu.
Brother of Pandu. Yes? Yes, please.
Father of Kavana.
Very nice. So he's brother of Pandu and father of Kauravas as well. Right. So, you know what happened when the war finished? Who won the war?
Pandavas.
Yes?
Oh my god.
Pandavas. So Pandavas won the war. And what happened that time? All these 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, they all were killed. And why this story I'm going to tell you is because, as seen earlier, right, what we say is the law of karma. Law of karma is that our every actions has an equal and opposite reactions. So once what happened, the Dhritarashtra, after the war finished, he met with Lord Krishna and he said, "Oh Krishna, I had 100 sons and all of them they were died in the war. Why is it so?" Right? It's a very difficult situation for any person to get, all the sons died. And he asked this question to Krishna. Krishna said, you know what? Krishna said, because 50 lifetimes ago, you were a hunter. And at that time, what you did is, actually you are trying to kill a male bird. However, that male bird flew away, and because of angry, his 100 small birds were there, and baby birds were there, and you destroyed all of them, killed all of them at the same time. Right? You were so cruel at that time. And because of that cruelty, what you got in this battlefield, your all sons were killed. Right? However, Dhritarashtra says that's okay, that's fine. But why did I have to wait for 50 lifetimes? Isn't it? It's a good question. Because when we sometimes what we say, okay, if I do something in this life, everything is finished in this life. Some people think that, okay, if my life finishes, everything is finished. Krishna says nothing finishes here. It only finishes when you go back to spiritual world. We'll discuss it in our next lesson. Right. And then Krishna says that why you have to wait for this time is because you are accumulating pious activities. Right, pious results actually, or credits is being said here. Because in this 50 lifetimes you are getting pious punya, you call it in Hindi punya. Because to get 100 sons, you need this kind of punya, right? You need to acquire those credits or good credits to have 100 sons. So 50 lifetimes he acquired credits or good punya, and his before 50 lifetimes he has done some papa. His reaction came back again. Right. So the point is, whatever we do, just mind it from your childhood now till your adult and everything. Whatever you do, it comes back to you in any way, and it can come back in our next life as well. It can come back now as well, and it can come back next time as well. There's a nice example, if we to how this karma works. There is no kind of particular kind of formula to judge karma, but I'll give a small example to make you understand. There's, for example, I have a ball with me, in my hand. If I throw in the ball, what happens? It will come back very soon, isn't it? It will bounce back very nicely. And just imagine, how many of you seen the George Square where written is very pink, Glasgow people, right?
What?
In George Square, there's a very pink tower, and there's written Glasgow people, isn't it? So
People make glass.
huh?
People make glass.
Yes, sorry, people live in Glasgow, right? So have you seen that one? Just imagine that I have a good power in my hand, and I can throw the ball from here to that tower. It will take some time, and just imagine that wall is so reflexive that by touching the ball, it will come back again to me. So what happened? It actually take a long time to go there, and will take time to come back as well. Right. So the ball here, it came back very quickly. I can just play like this. But when I throw it to that, it take a time to go there and came back after time. I just imagine I have so much power that I can throw the ball from here to India.
Oh my God.
Right, it happens, right? We can't throw the ball, but just imagine. Just as I just imagine. And imagine that from that India, it actually can come back again to here. So it will take a long time, isn't it? And it will come back. In a similar way, our karma either can give us reaction right away, or it may take some years, or it may take some many lifetimes as well. However, I will read out. I think it's maybe next session, next slide is there. That the mills of God grinds slowly, but grinds finely. Right? It never ever takes leaves like small grains over there. So our all karma, whatever we perform, actually will be taken into consideration. Right. So we'll take a break here for 10 minutes, and then we'll continue next. Right. Remember, we will dance today. Okay.